Welcome back to North of 44 Degrees. Now, if you've been watching the modular house build, you've probably seen this building in the background a bit and wondered, what the heck is that building and why do you need a house if you already have something on the property? This building is my bunkhouse and shop. So it's primarily going to be office space, recreational area, and some shop space. I'm going to have a wood shop and probably do some metal fab and whatever other things I can get myself into. So I'll give you a quick tour here. I'll set up a time-lapse camera for the weekend and we'll shoot the weekend and kind of follow what's going on in here as well. The bunkhouse portion of the building is the shorter side, so it's got 10-foot walls instead of 12-foot walls like we have in the shop side. It is 30 by 30. Like I said, it's going to have a full bathroom, not much else, a space for an office, so I can do my real job from here. And some of you might have seen Starlink up on the roof. And then I'll have effectively a wet bar because there's already a building with a kitchen in it. We cannot have another kitchen facility on the property. That would be 2 living spaces, and that's not allowed in the county that I'm in. So it'll be effectively a wet bar. It's going to have a sink. A good friend of mine gave me a 12.5-foot long piece of poplar. I'm sorry, not poplar, elm. I'm going to put in a bar. So the bar is going to kind of sit here and look out the window across the pasture up to the maples. I don't know that I'm going to bother putting what I've done so far, but this building's been up for 4 or 5 years. The first thing I did was I went around the perimeter and dug down 24 inches and installed insulation vertically to help insulate the building. Then we went in and I dug up 3 feet of the dirt, sand, and then compacted that back down. So it was rock solid and pretty darn level. I then put in 2 inches of crushed concrete. On top of the crushed concrete went a vapor barrier, and I went with a 15 mil vapor barrier. And I don't know if you can tell, but that's a pretty thick vapor barrier. This was made by Stego. They do not know who I am. They do not know that I use their product. So that's not a sponsor of any sort. But it's a really good vapor barrier. And the idea was to keep the moisture from coming up. I then went in and put down 3,000 feet of PEX tubing between the 2 sides and have so I can have heated floors in here. Next thing we did was we poured concrete, and then I went in and started. Well, first I built the wall between the bunkhouse and the shop, and that is sheathed with 5/8 drywall, fire rated drywall, because you have the other side's considered a garage. You have to have a fire barrier. I went a little over the top, and the attic has 2 layers of 5/8 rock up there, and it's also an insulation thing. This side's going to be warmer. The other side will be heated, but with the roll-up door, you're only going to get so much heat. You can see a door opening into the attic. There'll be a fire rated door so you can get from the shop to the attic over here. I've started putting in boxes for lights and fans and all kinds of fun stuff that's going to go on in here. Well, that's what I'll be starting to work on today. I'm roughing in the electrical. The other thing I did, and I'll show you on this side, is I went with the wall is 6 inches thick, but if you can see, there is a space. So you got a 2x4 here, and then another 2x4 here, and this 2x4 touches the wall, and this one does not. So what I've got is a kind of a soundproof wall or a sound resistant wall. I'm gonna fill that cavity with probably rock wool. But in a typical wall where your 2x4 reaches and touches both sides of the drywall, noise that happens on one side is transmitted through the drywall, through the stud, and through the drywall on the other side. And the drywall acts effectively like a drum skin. So it just transfers the sound really, really well. So by staggering those studs, yes, it does make it more expensive, but by staggering those studs, any noise that I've got going on out here does not necessarily transfer into the bunkhouse. And, to be fair, when we first started doing this, we had considered, staying up here on the weekends in the bunkhouse while the house was being built. But I'm doing all the work in here, and it's, on the weekends, I have a full-time job. So I do what I can up here primarily on my own. The only thing I've had help with on the building so far, the building is a Morton building. So Morton came up and put up the outer skin. I had a crew come in and do the cement. I did all the prep work. I put down all the rebar. I tied all the rebar. So they were just pouring cement. And then electrical was done. The upgrade to be able to have the house. I pulled in an electrician to do that, so that was done. I'm not super good when it comes to electrical boxes and making sure everything is to code. Running outlets and lights and stuff, I'm pretty good. You can see up in the ceiling, I have these panels here. These are really super thin plastic panels. And what that does is that allows the air from the soffit to come in up above the insulation that's gonna go in. So we can maintain the proper air circulation in the attic and not get any condensation up there. Don't know exactly what I'm gonna do for the ceiling yet. I know the first layer is going to be 1/4-inch plywood. And you can see my drywall lift there. I picked that up on Craigslist. Somebody had bought it at Harbor Freight, used it once and sold it for half off. So I grabbed it. I do watch Craigslist a lot, and will pick up things that I need as I go. So that's the bunkhouse tour. Probably won't get this much of an in-depth explanation again, but I will set up a time-lapse camera and you can watch me rough in the electrical. The question is, if my close for the modular build is walking into the bunkhouse, what's my close for the work that I do on the bunkhouse? I don't know. If you have any ideas on how I should close the bunkhouse build videos, put them in the comments. I'm open to suggestion. Thanks for joining. See you next week.